friends. Here we go.
Here we go.
No, don't touch it. It's hot, baby.
Okay.
Let's
you there?
do it.
Okay. Hi.
Cathy Purple Cherry and I were meant to be together today because this is the color of my pen and this is the color of her pants. So
Excellent day.
everything's coming up roses.
It's
going great. Hi, friends. My name's Sophie Donelson. I'm a journalist and author and, as I say, a KBIS friend and lover of many, many years. I love being here. I've gotten to host the last panel here at the Luxury Lounge, and Next Stage I hosted last year and yesterday and tomorrow a little bit too, so just thrilling and fun. But I have been truly looking forward to this chat. I'm so delighted to get to interview you because I learned so much on our...
We had a great call on
We had an amazing pre-call.
And you were in Canada and I was in Maryland.
And you were in Maryland, yes.
That's
she
right.
said, where are you sitting right now? And I said, in my kitchen. And she was like, I meant globally. I was like, oh, I'm in Montreal right now.
Yeah.
And that's that. Well, this is a fine place to start.
It is.
You have a number of offices
I do.
and this incredibly robust business, a new
Thank you.
book, and this huge point of view on life and design and homes.
That's
And-
because I'm old.
well, we're going to get into it. And Cathy is spicy, like truly.
True.
Yeah, she's got a lot
Very
to say.
true.
So
I'll
I'm
turn
so
and look
excited.
towards
So
you, too.
let's start from scratch. First, I want to know
Okay.
geographically where you're located and
Okay.
kind of a little bit about the size of your business because there's a lot to learn there. And then your backstory, which I rarely start at the top. I actually never do. I find it really boring to say, well, I grew up or I found my passion for design. It's like, let's cut to the chase.
Right.
But it's actually really informative to your practice. So
It is.
I'll let you
very.
take it.
Okay, let me see. So I started out in Annapolis, Maryland, which is where the Naval Academy is. It's my home base because I married a man who was born and raised on a tobacco farm. And that's what landed us into that area, and we stayed there. We've been married for 45 years. I'm 66 years old and not afraid. Okay? We then opened an office in Charlottesville, Maryland. I actually opened that office before I had my first employee. So what you're going to learn about me is I'm a big risk taker. I believe that the Lord is always there, and I'm going to take the step for him. Got it? That is who Cathy Cherry is. So, yay!
Can everybody hear girl in the blue back
Can you
there with the
guys
phone?
hear me?
Can you guys hear okay? Well, they're not answering.
Everybody's okay?
Jason, can you hear?
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So when I did the house in Charlottesville, it's important to understand that what was happening for me was I was obviously living with a tremendous amount of stress, which we'll go backwards on. And so I decided that I needed to make sure that I found what would be my place of peace because I'm a mountain girl. So I needed to get back to the mountains, and Charlottesville is where the mountains are. So that then led ultimately to my doing what would be a final home down in Annapolis, Maryland, although we're not in our final stages because the Lord has brought one more challenge to me before I pass this earth. The third location is Soho, New York City. And I can specifically tell everybody why Soho so that you hear it directly from me. I believe that there is a tremendous amount of talent globally around this world, and I believe a lot of what leads to where you get to in your life has to do with who you know, where you were born, who can introduce you. It's all about right place, right time. And if it's not right place, right time, then it's all about 45 years of working 100 hours a week. Got it? That's what it's about. So you got one of two choice, but you'll always get there. I always encourage younger people too, so you hear it from me, that if you just keep putting foot in front of foot, eventually you'll get there. So many young people these days look at things and want things immediately, think that how can I get there? It's not going to happen. It doesn't happen that way. But if you're diligent and committed in your passion and you keep doing it, eventually you'll be able to, you might be 66 years old, but eventually you'll look back and you'll say, oh gosh, today $100,000 is like $2 to me 40 years ago. Everybody put this in perspective, right? When we are young, we were poor, we lived in nothing, 1,000 square foot home, 10 dogs, 3 cats, 3 children, and 2 employees, 1,000 square foot home. Okay, so you can really do anything. Now, Soho specifically, because I think as we grew, what I knew is that my heart is in these projects, these big when you get into the world of very large work, you have the great honor of doing some things that you can't do in typical work, right? And we do typical work. We serve all kinds of clients, but when you do get the life opportunity to do something very large, that's where you do your highest level of passion, because you can work at 64th of an inch in millwork through the entire house. And that's what I love. And I think as a businesswoman, what I knew is that I wasn't born in the right place. I didn't marry the right man. I did marry the right man technically, but because he's the Renaissance man and he's supported me in helping me get to where I've gotten. But I am the breadwinner of the family, and it's important for you all to hear that, because it doesn't have to be the man. My husband is the one who helped with the children. Role reversal. Got it? So you can do that. You just have to have the right partner who is supporting you through that journey. And I also think that what I got to a place financially where I knew the firm could turn around and reinvest. So believe it or not, guys, Scary Cathy has bought a $100,000 billboard in Soho. That's what's going to go up.
Why?
Well, because if you don't market, you don't get work. You can sit in your place and do something for forever. If you don't market, you won't get work. So I am very aggressive in the world of marketing. Now, she wants to ask me about my story. Do you want me to tell you?
Well, I want to hear about the kids, yeah.
Okay, that's where we're going. So my husband and I were married for 14 years. I was waiting for financial security. There's no such thing. Got it? Doesn't matter where you are in life. Certainly things get easier when you do start to make some level of income, but there's no such thing as ever feeling secure. So I waited 14 years because we were dirt poor. And at 14 years, I got pregnant, but I also was going through an adoption process because I believe in adoption. I was one of the women, I'm going to take longer than I thought. I was one of the women who saw 60 Minutes 50 years ago of the opening of the Romanian orphanages. I think there's a few women in here that I think remember this. It was a horrific condition, and I always knew I would adopt. I had a Down syndrome brother. I am born and wired in that world of special needs. When we adopted our son, he was 3 years old. He is now 33. He was probably the greatest challenge of my life. He was multiply disabled, multiply disruptive, multiply violent. But what did happen is I'm probably the best advocate you can ever come ask questions for about how to get financial funding for your child. So my son is now a $280,000 a year funded child in the state of Maryland, taken care of for the rest of his life. But it took me 25 years of intense advocacy. And that then made the wiring. And then behind that comes along my other son, and my son gets diagnosed with cancer 1 week before his 18th birthday. He'd already opened his first business, an escape room, and 1 week before his birthday, diagnosed. Thankfully, he's gone through it. It was Hodgkin's lymphoma. I got the good news and the bad news. It's completely curable. It will go away, but it is cancer, and it was scary as shit. And so the advocacy of obviously rearing, I'm seeing somebody else who's going through this right now, so come see me afterwards, got it? It's a very difficult journey, but there are definitely things that you can do. So how you get into a cancer program before you actually have a biopsy, call me, because I did it. Got it? Okay.
Tell me how the experience of raising these children and of your experience. No breaks, Cathy. We're on.
Go.
This is happening.
Let's do it.
And you got like
10 minutes.
20 minutes. Yeah, we got 20 minutes.
Go.
And then we're having Prosecco with Curry and Company.
I love it.
I know. I hope you can have one.
I can.
Okay, good.
Sure.
'Cause she's going to earn her drink. How has this level of compassion and empathy and also patience and faith impacted how you design for clients specifically? When you deal with these families and you've had this, background of yours, what from that experience have you brought to your day-to-day?
Right. So I think that what is true is that I am very emotionally wired, so you've got to know that. And I think that all those experiences that I've had play into my communicating with clients specifically about the challenges in life. Many people are not honest with themselves or honest with other people asking them, right? So my job is really to try to explore and learn what are the challenges of my clients. And then from that, I'm able to help recommend solutions through the design that will help in those areas. So I had one client who, she was absolutely OCD. She bought 6 pair of tennis shoes for all of her 6 children, and all 6 in white pairs, and she bought all 3 years, and they all shipped to the house. So knowing that about her and understanding how that need, where were those going to go? What were they going to do? Where would we organize it in order to make that not be so stressful for her? I've also had clients who are absolute hoarders. And so having those conversations about how you can hide things, what are the patterns of children, what do children really do? I think one of the greatest disservices that happened in television was probably in the 90s, where all of these shows came out saying how you had to be so very organized. Well, we've now created a whole bunch of young women who think that they need to be organized. Guess what, girls? You don't need to be organized. You got it? You do not have to have perfection.
And
there's
you know that
no such thing as
there's
perfection.
no people that are organized in type A get no more done than type B and disorganized creative people. There's no correlation toward ambition or production.
Right. Now, I love you highly organized women. And
says a type B.
I have
always
a whole
trying
bunch
to defend myself here, okay?
Well, and I probably have 60% type A's in my team, or 70%. I love the fact that, obviously, when you are an organized person, you do your job really well. So there is a blessing to that. But at the same time, I don't want you to take it into your personal life. If you do, you won't stay married. Got it? My husband's the man who puts something on the kitchen island. It sits there for 4 weeks, and he doesn't even see it. Everybody got it? It's the same shit. I've been looking at the box in it next to the front door for the last 3 months. When is that box going to go away? But I had to learn how to stop trying to change my husband. Okay? That's how you make a successful relationship.
Has that helped you talk to couples at home?
Do I?
Has that helped you talk to couples at home that
Always.
you designed for?
Always. So I also think that in life, there's different things that happen, and one of my big focuses is really what happens at what we'll call the end of life. And what I mean by the end of life is not when we die. I'm talking about when all the chaos leaves us and we're left alone with our partner in that quiet silence, right? And what is it? How do we have to change the patterns of what we did? So when raising Matthew, our autistic son, who was adopted, I had somebody in my home through the autism waiver in the state of Maryland 6 days a week for 14 years. You got to understand, you're on display all the time. It's like exhausting. Somebody's underfoot all the time. So we lived that life, and I understand what it does to people emotionally. I like to have the conversations about when both retire, and the wife will say, well, he's too loud on the phone, I need him far away. And I go, you all really need to really think about this, because when you're just 2 in the house, if you don't figure out how to reconnect, you won't stay connected. So having the conversation about, is his office remote, or is his office in the center of the family room, is a conversation that I have. I always ask my clients, too, which side of the bed they sleep in. I also ask my men if they get up multiple times a night, because I will not put their toilet 25 feet away. If they tell me they get up 4 times a night, 3 times a night, like my 75-year-old husband, I'm going to put that toilet 10 paces, right? You got it? That's what I'm going to do. Okay.
And then maybe have some really good noise proofing for her.
Maybe, but
right.
She's wearing earplugs because he already snores.
See, there you go. They're
it?
figuring it out on their own, as it turns out.
Yeah.
You had a really interesting take, was that you didn't want to divide vanities or divide vanities but not bathrooms for couples in general.
So that was a good one. So we get a lot of clients.
It's an interesting one.
It is an interesting one.
Let's find out what the people think.
When I tell you, then it'll make total sense to you. So believe it or not, a lot of men, the boys are going to smile in the middle. A lot of men don't want to share the vanity with the women. They want to break the vanity, and the reason they want to do that is because if they share a vanity, their wife takes 3/4 of it. There we go. It's like, get the shit off of my side, right? It doesn't happen. So you can certainly break it with a tower, but you can also break it by putting 2 in 2 position. But more recently, there are some requests that come through that ask for 2 separate bathrooms. Now, I do want you to hear my mind in this. I think the 2 separate bathrooms is a great thing. We women think, oh, yeah, that would be great. We don't have to share with the man, right? I can absolutely see that later in life. But believe it or not, when you're raising children and have a family, the one place you catch up is at the bathroom sink. So sitting in that bathroom, taking your shower, brushing your teeth, putting on your makeup, getting ready is the time in which you're downloading what's got to happen for the day. You're downloading what's going on with the children. And if you take that away, and that's one of the few times, because of the chaos of raising children and having 2 corporate or 1 corporate career, you take away the connection between 2 human beings. And so I obviously am a big believer in working really hard to maintain a marriage, not walking away because it's easy. And so if you're in that camp, you need to be aware that sometimes you make sacrifices in order for that greater good. Okay.
That is also corroborated, by science, which is that the conversations that we have when we're not having eye contact it's why couples talk in bed. It's why you can have hard conversations with your teen or your kid when they're in the back of the car and you're both driving facing forward. It's why therapists often have you lie down and look off into space or to sit in a chair and avert your eyes, because it's easier to say hard truths when you're not like this.
When
Although
you
I feel like you would tell
judged,
me the truth.
I would tell you the truth no matter what. It's a good thing you don't have your uncareer showing or something. Yeah, right.
I might later, Cathy.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Okay.
There's Prosecco being served. Things could get pretty heated.
Yep.
You have some other really great, I would say, like spicy takes on home. One of them, we were talking about kitchens, and I felt like we were talking about this a little bit less than last year, but the back kitchen, the dirty kitchen, the prep kitchen, whatever you want to call it, this second kitchen. And you told me never put a cooktop in a back kitchen. And,
correct.
And why is that?
Okay. So I'm going to give you my opinion of what has happened in our kitchens over the last 25 years. It's specifically in the last 25 years as a
Okay, but you have like 90
Okay.
seconds to do that. It's got more questions.
It's directly tied to the fact that that whole perfectionist thing caused women to say, well, I don't want your shit on my counter anymore, so I'm going to give you a back kitchen. I'm going to put the coffee pot back there. I'm going to put the microwave back there, and all the pile that you make at that coffee pot with those Keurigs that sit there for, a long time, stacked up. You can't walk 4 paces over to the trash can. You stack them up. Now, not everybody does that, but I'm sure a lot of women can relate to this, or maybe it's the men relating to it. So for me, what happens is the back kitchen is a brilliant thing. You can scale down your front kitchen to be quite small as long as you've got the support of the back kitchen. But if you put a cooktop in the back kitchen, you will isolate yourself to do everything in that back kitchen, which is not what you want to do, because now you've taken yourself back out of the social center of the house, right? That's not what your goal is, so don't put a cooktop back there. Put a microwave, refrigerator, dishwasher, and sink. Don't have a problem with that. Do not put an oven, a range in the back.
Yeah, I love the idea of the support kitchen. I mean, it's where it started already, right? It was this idea of like extra storage or an extra pantry or like reserves of something, and just and freeing up the kitchen to be able to live out its needs because you were actually living in it. And now the converse is true. I mean, people live in different ways. Sometimes I don't know. The idea of a hosting kitchen that has the natural light, but then you relegate yourself to the back kitchen to do the work
makes no sense.
A little retrograde to me.
Yes.
And I also really appreciated what you said about perfectionism driving that, like, just that idea of organization sort of almost as purity, as this idea that an organized life and a clean counter is a sign of goodness is pretty fraught.
I think it's a sign of peace for women.
It can be.
Our headspace is very different than men.
But you're no less good mother, wife, sister, partner if you're messy. Like the signs of life are that. I mean, I was just writing and researching about messiness and organization and this idea that people feel bad. They shame themselves. They look at TikTok and the organizations and like, how much plastic do you need to buy to organize the things to tell you that you're doing a good job at life? Like, that should not be the marker for you or your clients. Like, I think that like messiness is a very funny thing because it's actually just evidence of life lived.
Yep.
Like, what are you mad at? That you made it to a sports practice and you woke up for yoga and you left a coffee cup out because you made a meal? Sorry.
Yeah.
That's sort of, you should say, good for me, I lived a lot today. Look at what a fucking pit this is. Sorry.
Right.
But,
That's
like, Good for
Right.
me. I
That's
lived
right.
a big day. I
Right.
have a lot going on, and my life is full.
Right.
You know?
I do think
And then it's time to
important
clean.
Right. I do think it's important for people who do feel very strongly about this organization. If that's what brings you peace, then keep doing it. That's fine. Just don't put that pressure on you when you start to raise children, because to do it all is almost impossible. You'll be the woman who stays up till 1 o'clock in the morning while your husband's asleep and you're wiping down the stairs because that was Cathy Cherry. Got it? Don't do that to
Yeah,
yourself.
who's mad
Learn
now?
to evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to switch tracks a tiny bit because
Yep.
you have a unique way of working and billing.
I do.
Which I think is just, it,
Yep.
it should be talked about for a minute because.
Yep.
Because.
It's very different. Lois, let me just kind of explain to you the world of custom residential. I don't know if people in this audience work in the world of custom residential.
Let's ask them. Do they work in the world of custom
Raise
residential
your hand.
design?
Perfect. Okay, listen carefully. Every client is different when you're interfacing this, and you guys, you understand that every client is different. So you can't predict that one client will make a decision once and not change, and another client who takes 8 hours for a day of a meeting and changes 16 times that same element. So there's no predictability. I believe in full exposure, full identification of what the efforts take. I believe in time billing, not percentage of cost of construction. But I'm going to blow your mind so you hear it, okay? In the world of architects that work in the world that we do, they typically quote 15 or up to 18% of the cost of construction for architectural fees. I've been in that world 40 years ago. What I never thought was right or fair was that we finished a project. The project came in higher than the clients wanted. This is pre-Cathy. And then after the clients left, the owner told the bookkeeper to send a bill for the 15% of the increase in the cost. Yet the client was in the office angry because the bid was too high. I don't believe in that. I believe in time-based. We finish our projects in 4 to 7%. Yes, I've just blown your mind. Let me explain to you why so you hear. I have been a Revit firm for 24 years. Not 2, not 5, 24 years. Our library is incredibly intense and very valuable because everything that we built within our library is custom parametric build that our team has done over 24 years. And so that technology allows us to perform our work incredibly efficiently. Now, I'm going to take it to someplace else, and people in this room are going to be mad at me. I apologize. We do not mark up trade cost. I think the hiding world of what things really cost is not something clients appreciate. What happens is, I've been in this situation before. I've had a design professional tell me to the client that they're going to mark up 25% only, and then they're also going to bill time, and that they're going to provide the receipts, but they never provide the receipts. And in comes the piece of paper with the sofa at $26,000. And I don't understand it. I just can't wrap my head around it. And that was when I went to High Point 15 years ago as an architect with no interior designers, and I learned everything about the interior. Now, granted, I started in the interior design in school as a degree, and I shifted over to architecture simply because I think I love that three-dimensionality of what we call interior architecture millwork. That's probably my most favorite place to be. So in the world of time, we finish these big projects. The big compound, 5.5%, 5 years. All architecture, all interior design, all furnishings, everything in the project, fully paid, strong fees, time. I'm an honest, open book firm, and I know that's mind-blowing. Our clients go with us to High Point. I don't hide anything, okay? That's who we are, and we are 42 people.
Wow, it's incredible.
Big firm.
Why did you feel it essential to do this book?
So I think that the great thing, guys, is when you get the opportunity of your lifetime, got it? When you get the opportunity of your lifetime, and you have the wherewithal, because this is a lot of work. This is not a self-published, it was published, but even when you publish, you have a big lift. You have to lift the writer, you have to lift the graphic person, you have to lift all of the photography, and the photography is the biggest lift. And so the great thing about this particular client, we're just finishing a second house for him right now. The great thing about him is he grew from nothing at at the age of 25 to 1.3 billion, sole owner of a international company. He grew up by himself, one person. When he sold it, he's the most open book. You rarely have clients of properties like this who allow you to photograph, who allow you to go in, who allow you to bring anybody at any time and tell the story, and also allow you to use their name. This was the catapult for the firm.
Yeah, I have never heard of that.
Yep.
I write a lot of stories that are incognito.
Yeah.
Like, can't even say what part of the island of what state.
I agree
all.
with that. I agree with that. Yeah, that's usually what happens when you get into your higher end properties.
That's interesting. What a big gift.
It is a huge gift. And in fact, he just asked me this past week, I was down at the other house, and he said, can I ask you, because he's never asked me, he said, has the book helped you? And I said, oh my God, in a massive way. The book is what catapulted us to the new level.
What did he want to share? Or like, why was he willing to share this?
I think I'm going to tell you a story so you hear it. Somebody that he knows that's very close to him is coming out of one of the very high-end firms that bills at that very high-end rate. And he was expressing that from an interior design standpoint, here is a billionaire man. And he was expressing from an interior design standpoint that there is no way he would do what most high-end designers do. There is no way that he would tolerate that he paid $100,000 for a sofa. There is no way. He's not wired that way. He started with nothing and he grew to 1.3 billion. He buys expensive things all the time, but he always balances what's important to him. And so to me, I think he was relating it to somebody else he knew who is now doing this, and he was kind of sharing with me the story of what he would not support.
Yeah, he kind of had conviction and he had a way of doing it. And I mean, by doing that, he's also providing a model.
I know.
I mean, I like when that happens when, you know,
True.
I have had the privilege of meeting a lot of kind of like fabulous designers, and once in a while, they're like really normal and kind.
Very.
And
There's a
it's
lot
like-
of those.
And I tell this, you know,
Yeah.
I tell this story all the time. I'm like, I don't know, Martin Lawrence Ballard, I've interviewed a number of times, and like, we once took like a taxi ride in like Chicago traffic, and he talked to me the entire time, looking at me in the eyes, and didn't check his phone. And I was like,
That's
what
fantastic.
the heck?
Yeah.
What,
Unheard of.
He wasn't on drugs. He was totally sober and just kind
Yeah.
and engaged and had
Yeah.
nothing to get from me. I wasn't a sitting editor at the time. Like, I was just it was literally after an event just like that. And I'm like, it's nice to share those stories.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Yeah.
that's having a model for that. One quick
Go.
question or
Yeah.
two, and then we'll kick it to the audience. What was the last thing for a client that you pushed for, that you had conviction for, where you're like, you got to trust me on this, I got you? And what was the last thing you talked them down from? And it could be anything. It could be the last thing, or it could be something a couple of years ago. But what's one time that you really were like, we gotta, and another time that said, you gotta back down from this, baby?
So Lauren and I actually, Lauren's back there in the corner. She's with my team, and she was reading the questions. We were reviewing the questions earlier, and she reminded me of this. So I am the type of person who will tell you shouldn't have bought a piece of property. I'm the type of person who will tell you that you
After
just
they bought it?
after they bought it, and I'm
brutal.
sad. Well, but here's why, and I'm going to explain to you why so that you understand. You know, I think that a lot of people that are not exposed to our industry, right? You got to remember they really don't know how things go together. They don't know how everything works. They understand what they want. I was on a piece of property, and I was the seventh person on this piece of property with him. He identified that he interviewed 6 other architects, design build firms before me, and then he told me I was hired. Okay? 2 reasons, very specifically, so you guys hear. First, I can share with you that I picked up that I knew that there was, within the relationship, I knew that there was some sensitivity to environmental issues, and I'm wired that way because I was raised with my brother, and then I have a studio called Purposeful Architecture. It's the design of living and learning environments for adults and children with disabilities across the country. So I work as a consultant that gets hired in just for doing those front-end program pieces now. I've done whole facilities, but I understand how these behaviors work. And so I was able to very quickly pick up that piece, and so I was able to change my demeanor in order to address or whatever interface, right? Because that's who I am. I'm gonna respond to whoever the individual is that I'm speaking with. And then the second thing that happened is I was standing on this piece of property. It's 20 acres roughly. And I'm standing in the middle of these trees that have no leaves. And I'm looking across through all these trees. There's a spectacular 195-degree view of mountain ranges. And he says this one statement: I bought the property because I want the big view. And I looked at him and I said, you bought the wrong property. Let me explain to you all why, so you hear it from me. To get big view, so if you want to understand true big view, go on to Homeworthy. I just did a segment called Bohemian something, my house. I built it on a very tight budget. I did specific things that my clients would never do, like 3 kitchens for $32,000. Got it? My entire cabinet package is $115,000. I did no niches in any of the showers because those shower niches are $1,000 a piece. As designers, you should be aware of what things cost so that you can literally, obviously, support your clients. Now, I'm talking out of two sides because I can have a client who spends $250,000 on a bathroom. So I'm talking out of both sides, but this was my house. So go see it and you'll understand it. So what happens is when you're looking for view, you must think about trees in our region up there. They grow to 80 feet. So you got to make sure that the top of an 80-foot tree is lower than your sightline. And not standing, sitting on whatever will be your future first finished floor level. Got it? So the catch is a mathematical game. It's not standing there and going, oh yeah, this looks pretty. The catch is I got to take down 5 acres of trees, and I got to hope that the tree across the street that's 80 feet tall, that's at 22 feet elevation lower than me, that I can get higher than it by 60 feet on that site. It is almost not, so obviously I'm the one who said, you probably bought the wrong piece of property. The reason is because the next layer that many of you all may not understand is there are regulations within jurisdictions that prevent you from disturbing slopes. So when you can't disturb slopes and you can't take down trees on slopes, now you've got to manage within the land where you don't have that 25% slope in this particular jurisdiction. So I was just on a FaceTime with the engineer 2 days ago, and the crew was out on the site, and I said, guys, I need 100 by 100 foot pad, and I need it above the big rock coming out of the ground, which is another 150 feet up from where everybody who would have stood on the property thought the house could build. But I got to make sure that it's not 25% slopes, because if it is, I can't build there. Got the problem? It's a math problem. It is nothing else.
So you got the project?
Yeah. We got the project.
That's intense.
Yeah.
It sounded like it was like
intense,
bad news, good news.
It's
bad news,
good
wrong
news.
property. Good news, right designer. I got you covered.
I think that I
love that.
I think that there's always a side of critical thinking, right?
Absolutely.
And there's always something that you need to be aware of, and you just have to accept if it's acceptable.
I love that.
Right?
Before we ask for a question or two, tell me one thing that a residential designer or other will take away from this book specifically. Tell me one valuable thing in there that that might help them or change them.
Yeah. So first, I think a lot of people have told me this book is not written like a typical architectural book. Please know that I didn't write it. I had a ghostwriter who interviewed me for a long time. So she took my words, recorded everything, and scripted it because I have no time. So they tell me that the way it's written is it's written very much like my Homeworthy video, where it's very educational. It's not pretentious. It is very approachable. I think one of the biggest lessons for me, 2 things, is that when you do a multi-structure state, you have to be cognizant of the distance of walking. I have learned if a building is too far away, you're never going to use it.
You're talking to the right crowd here, right? Just kidding.
Right.
Don't answer.
Right. It's a monument. It sits there, it becomes vacant, it's never used. You have to figure out either it has to be so specialized that it will have a particular purpose that you'll get in the gator to go there.
Destination.
Or it has to be walkable. And so what I learned on it is that basically 300 feet is walkable. That's what I learned. That campus that primarily does most of the structures is 300 feet. Got it? From one end to the other end. And you walk that all the time because it feels so close. I think the second thing, too, is, to me, a home is not a home without objects. A home is not a home without layering. Long time ago, 30 years ago, I can remember, a home is done, but it doesn't have any artwork on it, doesn't have any rugs in it. You pick and choose and do it over time. It will never feel like a home until you get all those objects in. And I think that is an important, I don't care if your objects all come from Goodwill. It doesn't matter to me. It's not an issue of what it is. I care about it becoming homier because you bring the scale down by putting smaller scaled items into a bigger space. Got it?
Love that.
Okay.
We have time for a question or two.
Somebody asked me a bold question. Oh, here's
this
a plan.
is a question with a visual. This is a floor plan.
Yeah.
This is unusual.
It is a floor plan.
Okay.
Yep.
What
Your
do you see there?
pantry is dead end. I don't like it.
No, not the pantry.
Kitchen. Is my kitchen? No, it's not because the counter goes all the way across, but it is a triple window.
So this is the third house I built in Atlanta.
Okay.
People want another kitchen.
This is the third house he's
They want
built
another- they want a
in
back
Atlanta
kitchen,
for
too.
them. Well, I can't read that.
Well,
I'm a
Not for
journalist.
them, not for them.
I mean, I can.
They
but
want a what? Another kitchen for what?
Yeah, because it's cultural.
So the answer is
Culturally, you can have a third
that's
kitchen.
a different thing. You have to know when you need a cultural third kitchen.
Yeah.
We're
Yes
actually
to the
doing a house
cultural
for
third kitchen.
Prince and Princess of Abu Dhabi. We're doing the second home for them, and the same thing plays out.
That's a really hard question to follow, but if somebody has another question,
You could put a
I'm
door
open
through
to
the
it,
back side of the
too.
pantry into the mudroom, and that way you create a circulation, but that's not going to solve that other kitchen. I can look at it
How
after.
much would that
Go.
be? That's like, in your firm, that's like a $17 answer right there, or that costs you $450 under your
No,
billing?
not $450.
That's a freebie.
It's a freebie.
All right, jump on up
It's a
here, friends.
freebie. I
You
will-
can come get a free
Yeah.
answer and
Yeah.
a Prosecco and purchase a
Somebody
book.
asked me a good question.
No,
no, that was good. Somebody
It's
asked me a
they're gonna
tough
ask
question.
you at the table.
Oh.
And we're going to thank Curry and Company, who love you.
Thank you.
And are so happy to be
Thank
sponsors
you
here.
to
And
Curry
we're
and Company, 'cause we
thankful to
love them,
because we can go have a
too.
drink together and hang out.
Absolutely.
And then jet and all walk back to our hotels together, maybe.
Excellent.
Anyway, Cathy
I hope
Purple
you
Cherry, I
enjoyed
was
it.
so excited.
And I need to
Thank
see.
you so much.
I need to see one person that I know, and I expected a question out of you. You know
Friends,
that.
thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you guys.